This one here is for Cowboy Dan. And Cowboy Dan asked the question. He said, should you charge more for heavy loads? He said, I had a job basically in a Luton going somewhere, and he said, and the shipper, he think, paid him a lot of money because it was like 1,000 kilos. Well, that's about right in a Luton, in fairness. Probably if you've got a tail 800's safer, but you know, that's kind of what you work on. But yeah, the short answer, Dan, is yes, you do charge more, but it's a bit more to it than that. Because, I mean, logically speaking, it makes perfect sense. If I've got to move 14 pallets, I'm going to pay you more money than if I'm going to move one pallet or one long steel bar. Because if the customer turns around and they said, right, I need 14 pallets of trainers brought to my warehouse in Coventry, they're going to expect to pay more than if it's like, I need a 6.5 metre steel rod to complete the thing that I'm doing. Because if you turn up with like one steel rod and go, there you go, mate, I've just driven 100 miles in my truck, that's 250 quid. You're like, what, 250 quid for a steel rod? The steel rod only cost me a tenner. I ain't going to pay 250 quid for it. If you turn up with 14 pallets of trainers, each worth £10,000 each, that's, what's that, 140 grand off the top of my head? Or something like that, I can't remember off the top of my head. And then you go, if they say to you there, get rid of that, disappear off, that's, you know, that's 250 quid. And you've got £140,000 worth of trainers, you go, yeah, that seems much more reasonable. So that's, sorry if the thing pinged up, I might be up. But there's more to it than that as well. And you start to learn to read the notes. And it's always good to read the notes. I mean, I made a mistake the other day, and she rang me up and she kind of said, put a case, for example, it's Ben's mob. And it was my own fault, I quoted it too quickly because I was keen to get a job in for the morning, and she said, okay, lovely, we'll send it through. She said, you did read the notes, didn't you? And I went, no, what did I miss? She said, you can take 16 pallets. And I went, no, I can only take 14 pallets. Because they posted it as an 18-tonne job. And 18 tonnes are normally 7 metre beds. And I went, can they be double stacked? I'll check. No, I don't think so. I went, no, I'm so sorry, love, I can't do it. Thanks very much for flagging it. Otherwise, I'd have turned up and that would have been on me. But yeah, so things you learn. So you read the notes. Say, for example, it says 7.5 tonne job, and then you read the notes and it says 14 pallets. You think, that's not a 7.5 tonne job. Most 90% of 7.5 tonne jobs are 6 metre beds, 12 pallets maximum. That's an 18-tonne job. So rather than quoting that job at £2.50 a mile, that should be £3 a mile. That doesn't mean you're going to get it. It's not that easy out there at the moment. We've all gone a little bit cheaper, not too cheaper, but a little bit cheaper while we're trying to find our own way with our own customers, and then hopefully, you know, that kind of takes the sting out of things. But things like if it says must be able to print off your own paperwork, airport. Chances are it's because it's air freight and it needs an air freight bill, and that way you need to go in with the proper paperwork, otherwise there's no way they're going to release it. Doesn't mean airport, but chances are it's going to be an airport. Allow what we you know, must have kick flaps and straps and blankets. Allow 1 to 2 hours for unloading. Prison. That's not always the way, but you also, when you've been doing it for a little while, you kind of go, well, that job's coming out of Slough, that job's coming out of Hatfield, oh yeah, I know what that one is, oh yeah, I know what that one is, it's only 10 miles around the corner, but where I've got to drop it off to, it's on a 1 in 2 hill, on a tight bend with cars parked on either side, we'll swerve that one. And I'm sure a lot of you out there will probably comment on the Sunday Q&A about more to it than this, but in truth, can you quote more for jobs going long distance? Yeah, you can. You won't always know. They don't always put on the notes what the job is. In fact, a lot of the time they don't, and sometimes they don't because they don't want you to know. But it might just go required 18 tonne, 7.5 tonne, or Luton van tail lift, Luton van curtain side, and you've got no idea when you pick up then whether it's going to be sort of like an empty cardboard box or a whole van full of handball. You just don't know. That's the way, isn't it? But then you just quote the money you're going to quote. And the other thing you can do is you can ring them. You can turn around and go, right, I'm quoting this job now, just trying to get a better idea. Where's it collecting from? what am I carrying? Not shipper's point of view, you don't want that. You don't want a million phone calls, so be clever about that one. Or you can quote it, and then when they ring you up and go, right, you know, you can do that job. So just before you book it, I just want to ask, how heavy is it? You know, I've had ones with this one, how heavy is it? And they've gone, oh, it's 9.5 tonne. And I go, oh, 9.5 tonne. She'll carry 10 tonne. She doesn't like it. I can carry 10 tonne legally underweight. The truck weighs 8 tonne. But I've carried 10 tonne. And she don't like it. So I'd rather say I might go in the nicest possible way on that one. You're probably better off getting someone else who's got a stronger truck or a 26 on that one, because it's too many. But yeah, you learn as you go. It's not exact. We all kind of make it up as we go along. We all find our own way of taking care and taking money.